Welcome to the Differently Aligned podcast for neurodivergent business owners. I'm Adina Levy. I'm an autistic ADHDer, business coach, speech therapist, professional educator, and multiple business owner. I support neurodivergent business owners to create businesses that are sustainable, enjoyable, impactful, profitable, and burnout free. I provide safe spaces for you to share with like-minded community who get it, me included. Everyone is welcome here, whatever your neurotype, gender, race, any other intersections and special, unique things that make you, you are welcome here. This podcast is recorded on the Aboriginal lands of the Gadigal and Bidjigal people. I acknowledge the traditional owners, elders past and present, and I extend my respect to any First Nations people who are listening in. I wanted to share a quick update about my business name. My podcast has been called Differently Aligned Podcast from the start of 2024 when I kicked it off. And I created this podcast within my business, Neurodivergent Business Coaching and Consulting. I liked the name Neurodivergent Business Coaching and Consulting. It is a mouthful. I feel like it was a very autistic way of naming my business. It's very fact-based. It just says what it does on the tin. But I actually have been reflecting lately that I might have been confusing myself and customers or potential customers and my audience across my two businesses. I have my other business, Play, Learn, Chat. And in that business, I am a speech therapist. I'm a professional educator and predominantly talk about neurodiversity affirming practice. In what I call my business, I'm in the role of business coach, and I use all that I believe and share about being neurodiversity affirming, and I apply that to helping people support themselves in business, using what they know and can learn about their brain and how they function best and what they want and what sparks them and what motivates them, and creating a business around that. Predominantly, I support neurodivergent business owners. There's also been a fuzzy in between, which came about quite organically in Play, Learn, Chat, where I started creating some webinars and supports for allied health professionals who were already following me to support them to do business better. So what's happened over the last few years, and this relates very much to what we're talking about in the podcast episode today about diversifying what it is that you offer in your business. I ended up wearing two different hats within the Play, Learn, Chat business, sometimes business coach, sometimes speech therapist and educator. Over much decision, many Venn diagrams, many spreadsheets and doodles and soul searching, I have landed on shifting the name and the exact who I'm for in the business. So neurodivergent business coaching and consulting is no longer. Well, it's not totally dead. It takes me a little while to actually shift everything over to the new name and a website and everything like that. So you'll still see a bit of that around, and that's the nature of the internet and business. But it's turning into differently aligned business coaching. I wanted to make sure that I was capturing this idea of supporting people to do business differently, not only neurodivergent people, but especially neurodivergent people, but also anyone who is ready to do business in a different way, to rethink the way that the industry has always gone or the way that they've always done things just because it's always been done that way. And I came back to Differently Aligned, which was the name I already had for my podcast. I even already had the URLs. I already had that name. It's me. It's mine. If you search it online, Differently Aligned was already me, and I love it. So it just made sense. It clicked. It took a lot of work, but here I am. Welcome to the Differently Aligned podcast, which is part of my business, Differently Aligned Business Coaching. Hooray! I'm very excited about this shift. If you're slightly confused in the transition, don't worry, I get it. It's going to take a little bit of settling in. One of the key things that I'm doing is bringing all the business coaching modules that I had in Play, Learn, Chat. I'm bringing them across to the business. If you have any questions about this, whether it's about how does it relate to you and something you purchased from me, or if you just are curious and you'd like to know a little bit more about this shift, please let me know. And so apart from sharing this as an update to you so you can understand what's happening with my business names and where everything is going to live, I also am sharing this because I wanted to talk to you about the idea of diversifying how you make money in your business. It's a topic I am absolutely passionate about. I'm clearly very good at diversifying what I do in my business, but also sometimes I take it too far. What I mean by that is over the years, as you can hear, I've created many different things, not just many different individual things, but a range of who those things are for. And it is part of me and my creative process. I probably put a lot of that down to ADHD side of me that has a lot of ideas. And that's a good thing. Mostly that's a strength. But I also regularly engage in a process of auditing the offers, like really looking at everything that I do, sell, and share in my businesses, checking if it relates to where I want to head into the future, checking in if it's worthwhile, if the effort or the energy or the offer still is valid for what I want to achieve and how I want to support people. So if you are the kind of person that has so many things and you're relating to this part of me that you're like, wait, I do lots of things, I sell lots of things, I am lots of things, and you want a process to help you curate all of those different things and make some quick decisions to get you started in building the version of the business that is more aligned for you. Right now, as this podcast comes out, there's a free summit that I am part of. It's a marketing summit called The One Thing. My talk is about how you can quickly and achievably audit your offers. It's a 15-minute video and you join along with me during the 15 minutes. So in this 15-minute process, you can actually get a really clear picture of all the things you're offering in your business and make some decisions on things you may want to start, stop, or do a little bit differently. At the time this is coming out, 23rd of July, 2025, the One Thing Summit is available. The link is in the show notes. If you're listening right now and it is that date or the next couple of days, go and register and you can join in free on the days that it's live. And you can also grab an all-access pass, which gives you access to 40 plus different talks. They're all up to 15 minutes, all about marketing. And I've been listening to a few and they're amazing. I'll pop the link in the show notes. Go and check that out. Honestly, that was a delightful thing to create, to be part of. As I'm listening to some of the other talks, I'm really enjoying these bite-sized bits of information, ideas, and so on, which is sparking something in me. And it's making me think, I want to make sure that I'm sharing shorter, sharper, more frequent episodes on the podcast. That's my intention because I think, it works for me. I think it might work for others. So all of that said, now let's get to what happens if you only really do one main thing in your business. If you've put all your eggs in one basket, it's a risk. The basket may break. The government may stop funding that basket. Eggs may cease to be a valuable resource that people are searching for. There's so many reasons why it's not a good idea. It's important as a business practice to have at least some diversification, some variation in how you do business and how you sell what you sell. So I'm going to give you the short, punchy few key ideas that can get you started thinking about why you need to diversify your revenue and how you can get started on it. Not every idea is for everyone. Not every business model is for everyone. Of course not. But I'll give you a few sparks to help you think, is that for you? Is that something you should pursue a little further? And if you're interested in learning more, I do have my Diversifying Revenue Streams webinar available anytime. And it is 30% off until the end of July. Link is in the show notes. And in that webinar, I go into much more detail about different options that you can do to diversify your revenue stream and more background about how and why you might need to do that. So why should we diversify? I want to make sure we're really clear on some of the risks of having only one revenue stream in your business. It's simply too vulnerable for when there are changes, whether they're changes in funding, for example, in Australia, our NDIS funding changing pricing policies that impact all providers and impact the amount of funding that people get to access therapy that so many of you provide. If what you're offering is time for money, one-on-one therapy or coaching or support in that one-on-one, I give you time, you give me money model, there's a huge risk of burnout, especially for neurodivergent folk, for disabled folk, for chronically ill folk, but also for anyone. Making money relies on you turning up and doing the thing, and we can't always do that. Maybe it's about scheduling around a family and school holidays. Maybe it's about illness or unforeseen circumstances, health, energy, all sorts of things. But it's a really, I call it dangerous thing to make all of your money tied to you turning up and doing a thing. In service-based businesses, that's the traditional model, but it is not the only model by far. So I really encourage you to think creatively, think out of the box. In many cases, we might be forced to when we realize that our revenue is in jeopardy. And it's actually very hard to think creatively when you are in fear, in anxiety, in burnout, in very well-placed worry. You might end up making decisions that you need to in the short term, which is understandable. But I hope that you'll give yourself some time and space to think more deeply, quite reflectively about yourself and what you want in your business, what you want in your life. What kind of things do you want to be spending your time doing? Try not to be limited by what everyone has done before. Try not to be limited by what the expectation is in your industry or with your job title. You are the business owner. You can do anything and create anything. This is the mindset that I want you to hold as you explore different revenue streams. And I use the word explore, like really take this idea of a sort of experimental mindset into your explorations. Try things, see how people like them, see how you like doing it. Don't just try it for 5 minutes and run away though. You've got to give it a really good try to have a proper experiment. Be prepared to try something and also say goodbye to that thing. That's okay. Try a small version of something, and then if it works for you, if it works for your customers or clients, then do more of that thing. You can iterate, you can do versions of things and keep reflecting and building towards something that works more for you and supports your business. I do want to remind you that new things take time and energy as well. I don't want to paint a false picture that you can just try anything, start something new, and you're going to take off and go viral and make millions of dollars from selling your one new gadget that you thought of. Maybe that will happen. It's very, very rare. So be prepared for a new thing to take time, both for you to actually learn a new thing or set up a new thing or design a new thing, and for that new thing to take off, to build momentum and to show you whether it's going to be a valuable part of your business or not. And like I said earlier, that sort of creative energy to build something new or imagine something new or different. It's important to recognize if you're in burnout, if you're really, really struggling and your capacity is maxed out, it is probably not the time for you to jump in and try something new. But you know yourself best. Maybe there's a version of that energy or a little space in your week or your mindset where you can try something new and it will get you excited. But generally, it takes a pretty good headspace and capacity to be able to leap into something new that will be really good, long-term, supportive, and sustainable for you. So that's a little bit of the mindset you need to hold as you're looking into diversifying and trying new things in your business. I'm going to share the more common ideas, how service-based businesses often add on a different revenue stream, and what kind of person this might be for. This might get you thinking, okay, yeah, that does sound like me, or I've been thinking about that, but actually that doesn't sound like me at all, so maybe it's not the best decision for me. Now, I'm not here to tell you yes or no to anything. These are just to get those ideas sparking. You can check out my webinar, Diversifying Revenue Streams. Link is in the show notes, and that's going to help you gather more ideas and find something that will fit you. Running group programs, potentially even designing group programs, is something that is quite common for service-based business owners as you're looking to build up a different arm of what you provide in your business. It's going to be suitable for you if you know that it makes sense for what you're trying to do and how you're trying to support people to actually be done in a group format. Not everything fits a group format, so do check in if that makes sense, including whether your clients or customers would benefit if that's the sort of thing that they want. They may not know that they want it if you haven't talked about it or offered it yet, but it is something to consider. And running groups, you need to get good at long-term planning. It's very rare to be able to get a group program together at very short notice and to fill the spots you need. Often a big part of running groups is the marketing. And so it's going to take a lot of awareness building, especially if the type of group you're running is quite new and people aren't expecting that. You might need to educate people on what it is, how it works, why it's beneficial. And you might need to do a lot of discussing, selling, networking, sharing. Marketing energy for running groups can be really, really high. So make sure that that's something you're up for, even if you're not very skilled or practiced in it. Just check in with yourself if that's something you're willing to try. Another way of sharing your ideas in this one-to-many format, and this is very common. A lot of people come to me for coaching and support in this. I've got a lot of members in my Neurodivergent Business Collective community who are working on something like this as well, is running a workshop, webinar, online course, more often online, you teaching rather than a sort of small group engagement situation. This is not for everyone. If you're willing to put your hand up and say, I'm going to teach on this topic, and you're hoping to sell tickets or spots at your webinar, for example, you need to be ready to own this idea of being a thought leader. What it means is you need to have something that you teach and share, and your unique angle or way that you teach it is flavoring that. You might well teach a topic that many other people are talking about. That's fine. You need, though, your own angle. You need to be ready to get up there. Maybe it's in front of the Zoom screen, maybe it's on a stage. Share your ideas and have people watching and listening, learning from you and potentially criticizing you. You need to be as ready as you can be to step out into the public eye a little bit more. Honestly, you can't really sell a workshop, course, webinar and have no following and kind of be hiding behind the pixels and not really show yourself. More often than not, if you're trying to tell people, I'm here to teach you something, you should listen to me because I have something valuable to teach. People need to know who you are, build that trust over time, and you need to be ready to step into that role. There's a lot more considerations that you need to think about if you are wanting to go into this one-to-many teaching role. But being ready to share your thought leadership on a more public stage is so crucial to this whole piece. There's a lot more ideas, storytelling, and a pathway for you to figure out what you want to do next in your diversification journey in my webinar, Diversify Your Revenue Streams. And that is available, link in the show notes. Now, I said I was going to go bite-sized, and so I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to leave you here with those ideas. Remember, they're not exhaustive. There's so many more ways you can diversify your revenue streams. I just wanted to get you started thinking about whether the ideas you have or the models that you may want to create in your business, will they fit you? Maybe they don't exactly fit you right now, but they're on the edge of where you want to be. They're on the edge of your skills, and it is the you that you want to step into. That's something to explore as well. I'd love to hear from you, what you try, what you take away. So please feel free to get in touch. And again, everything you need is going to be in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. Get in touch with me on Instagram. You'll find me there, differently.aligned. Have a beautiful day.